You may never have turned into an InfoWars web show, but you may know its founder and host, Alex Jones. He's become pretty famous, notorious even, for his wild conspiracy theories and ridiculous rants. One of the conspiracies Jones is known for repeatedly peddling is that the 2012 massacre at Sandy Hook Elementary School was a giant hoax. The 20 children and 6 adults who lost their lives were actually, according to Jones, crisis actors. Jones is now being sued by a group of Sandy Hook families for these lies. And in his deposition that has now been made public, Jones says Sandy Hook is real, but listen to his excuse.
And I myself have, almost had like a form of psychosis back in the past where I basically thought everything was staged, even though I've now learned a lot of times things aren't staged. So, I think as a pundit and someone giving opinion, that, my opinions have been wrong. But they were never wrong consciously to hurt people.
Former prosecutor and CNN legal analyst Paul Callan is with me, and I know there are many words one could use to describe this man. You had some...
Well, I was going to explain why pond scum was an accurate way to describe him. Now, he, on the other hand, has said that he was suffering from some psychosis, which caused him to do this.
Legally speaking?
Personally, I think it's an insult to psychotics if he describes himself as suffering from psychosis. It's a cheap excuse. It's a cheap attempt to use legitimate mental illness as an explanation for his utterly indefensible conduct. I mean, people have to understand that what he said was that those 20 first graders who were gunned down at Sandy Hook were part of a massive conspiracy and fraud, and that their parents, when they were expressing grief, were, as you quoted earlier, crisis actors. That was his phraseology.
So if he is saying it is his whole psychosis argument, it's one thing to admit that in a deposition, but it is any part of a settlement. Could he be required to retract these videos, a full-throated public mea culpa? What could he be required to do?
Well, this is a civil case. So unlike a criminal case where you're sort of confined to the penalties prescribed by law, in a civil case, you can work out a settlement that has money damages, but also an apology, a retraction. There are all kinds of things that can be built in.
Like they could get creative on that.
They could get creative on it, and I certainly would expect, if they settled this case, that he would issue a public apology retracting his mindless, idiotic theories about how the shooting went down.
Do you think it's unusual that a lawyer released a deposition before the case was over?
It's highly unusual. These things are usually kept secret until the time of trial. However, unless there was a court order banning the release, it's not illegal. But usually these things are not released in civil litigation.
Still back on your line, it's offensive to psychotics to be using psychosis as his argument. Paul Callan, thank you.
Thank you.